What's up, everybody? Foreskin here. So, this isn't a new build per se. It's very similar. It's actually exactly similar to the build that I posted recently before this video. But that build was more support focused, an assist build, if you will, to get more wins. Now this is, like I said, it's exactly the same thing, but this is going to shoot out a much higher DPS. I've been hitting 6.5, 7 million burst and sustaining a 2.1, 2.2 million sustained damage over 30 seconds, right? I would do a minute to just kind of say, I think a minute would probably be like 1.9 or 1.8. But I like to focus on 30-second sustains because, let's be honest, fights in PvP they don't really go over, I would say 15 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. And it's usually done. I mean, dare I say 5 seconds if you're getting the shit beat out of you, or someone's getting the shit beat out of them by you. But I think 10 to 15 seconds, it's a fair number to guess that a 1v1, if it's an equal, if you guys are an equal weight, like in boxing, if you guys are an equal weight of stats, it should be a good 1v1, roughly lasting, I would say, 10 or 15 seconds. But yeah, so a sustained DPS for 30 seconds, I think it's a fair number, and that's holding at about 2 million. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go over the changes here. It's one skill change and a couple essence changes. You can either do this with Slayer tree or Harbinger tree. These right here, whichever one you wish. I personally like the Slayer tree for PvP. You could also do Gladiator. I mean, I'm not against Gladiator. Gladiator is always fun. But I just enjoy, I just enjoy the not having to kill somebody to get the effects. So Gladiator gives you 12% increase, right? If you're doing Gladiator correctly, it'll give you a 12% increase on a kill for 10 seconds, which is great, right? Great, nothing against that. Please use it. If you like Gladiator, use Gladiator. But if you get down to the math, right? Let's get down to the math. 12% for 10 seconds. Does that equal or is more or less than a 10% primary attack increase, right? Because if you're going to do 12% more damage overall, that's good because it's a general buff over all damage. This is just a buff on primary, but for this build, you're really just using primary, and your Zephs only use primary. So by extension, you're a primary build. So you just kind of want to up that, right? So this is 100% uptime, this Slayer tree. You're gonna do 10% more damage with immunity to a couple of knockbacks. I've said this in other videos. This is huge for the barb chains, which will be nerfed on Wednesday, but we'll see how that nerf goes. But for right now, I mean, the barb chains are a problem. And like I've said in other videos, so this says gaining a shield makes you immune to the next 2 knockback effects. So knockbacks are also pull-ins and knock-ups. So anything that it knocks you back, knocks you up, sweeps you side to side, or pulls you in, like from the wizards, especially, fucking wizards, that is considered a knockback. So that is just a great little thing to have activated, as well as the increased effectiveness of your shields for 10%. So all shields that you conjure, any absorb shield, any protection, anything that you have that shields you will be extended in length of time by 10%, which is also great. And since we'll be breaking, right, with Breaker, we're going to be break dashing all over the place. That's going to, you're going to constantly be shielded. Benefactor also shields your allies. I don't think this gives you a shield, actually, but it'll shield your allies. So I guess that's a point that I should be making. But the point here is if Gladiator gives you a 12% increase in overall damage, and you're really only using primary, I don't mind taking a 10% damage. Now, you can lose, and this is 10% damage all the time, which is kind of the point I'm making. Plus, when you add in the 20% increase, you know, you're doing 20% more hits with 10% higher due to the buff. And if you remove one of these two, which, you know, you can, let's say we remove the immunity. Well, I mean, I wouldn't remove that, but let's say we remove the effectiveness of shields. 10% isn't a whole lot. It's something, but if you wish, you can remove either or. I would suggest this one. And you can add another 7% to your primary. So that's a 17% increase with 100% uptime, right? With a stacking progressive increase in attack speed. Primary attack speed, not attack speed. Because attack speed is casting time, right? The time it takes you to cast the skill plus primary attack. So this is specifically for primary attack speed. So I would recommend the Slayer tree. The Harbinger is nice, but it requires a kill to continue the streak. And I think I've also said in other videos, like, don't think of, if you want to use Harbinger, if you don't get the kill to make it reset right here with Fate, that's fine. Because the way I want you to look at Harbinger as far as trees go, don't look at it as a tree, per se. Look at it as an extra gem. Look at it as a 9th gem. Most 5-star gems, most gems in general, have... A few of them have a 6-second cooldown, but most of them have a 20-second cooldown per target. So this Harbinger tree, look at it as a 9th gem in your repertoire, right? In your inventory. Like, you have a 9th gem that is passive that activates every 30 seconds. So instead of 20 seconds, it's just a 9th gem that activates. It gives you huge boosts for 5 seconds only. But that should increase with your Vithu, with your beneficial effect duration. You can get that up to 7-8 seconds for the 30% damage increase, 20% critical hit chance, which is, it goes great. And again, don't look at it as a tree. Look at it as a 9th gem that you are equipping. That activates every 30 seconds instead of every 20 seconds, right? A 9th gem. But let's get into the build here. So we'll go over the essences first. The greens are still the same. I'm rocking, and this isn't like mandatory to have. Right now I'm having a great impact on the battlefield with a 2-piece Wildfire, a 4-piece Gloom Guides, and a 2-piece Vithu. You can sub out the Wildfire, the 2-piece Wildfire, for like a Mount Banks or something that protects you. Anything you really want. I just enjoy the Wildfire buff. It just increases the damage quite a bit for Firestorm. Now let's go over the essences. Helmet is Unyielding Vision, and this is gonna, on critical hits, Rolling Surf is going to cause an explosion of water. So that's going to hurt. That's going to be nearby damage, right? Anything around the perimeter of your target to a certain yardage, it's going to get hit with this. But this only activates on critical hits, which is why the Mother's Lament and Roiling Consequence is of huge importance, right? Even the Knockbrood, which is going to increase because of the use of Sturm Fury. So we'll go over the skills in a second. But for the essences, you want Unyielding Vision, Overflow for the chest geysers. That's your knock-up. Then you want Death's Dawn. So when you break her, you're going to increase all your damage on top of everything I've said by 19%. Then you want Gale Breaker from Flaring Lighthouse, Essence on your pants, which is your basic breaker dash. Then you want Knockbrood. Jesus Christ. Knockbrood. When Storm Fury deals damage, it increases your critical hit chance by 7.6 for 3 seconds. And this stacks up to a maximum of 22.8%. So if my math is right, on the 3rd hit, it's fully stacked. So when you activate Storm Fury and you deal, and you're going to be shooting this, it's going to be like a pew-pew build. So when you hit a target 3 times, it should be stacked exactly at 22.8%. And since you have the Glory to Cash right here, which increases your primary attack damage for 28%, plus the Slayer tree, like, you're going to be hitting those 3 hits probably like half a second. It should be pretty quick. But to finish this off, so the main hand Snockbrook, second main hand Skyneparter, then the first offhand is No Second Chances, and this is going to create nearby enemy damage. Every time you activate 2 skills, it's going to charge up your wind edge, and in this build, you're gonna have that blasting off quite often. So you're going to equip for the second main hand Glory to Kasathra. Yeah. Vortex also increases your primary attack speed by 28.5% for 3 seconds. So that paired with the gems that we're going to go over now, mainly Mother's Lament and Roiling Consequence, is going to be just huge, just a lot of damage, especially for a PvP build. This build is holding at about sustaining 30 seconds for 2 mil, like a sustained 30-second attack. And then for burst, it's bursting at about 6.5 to 7 million or so, which is, it's great to get in, get out, or you can sustain it there if the player is weaker than you. For the gems I'm using, that's Roiling Consequence, Bottled Hope, Morn Skull. This one's Oxed, so it's not Blessing of the Worthy, it's BSJ. I just use that for speed. Speed is your best friend in BG. I can't stress that enough. Like, speed is absolutely critical in BG. How fast you get to that idol is great. Now, you don't have to use BSJ. You can just use equipment that increases your movement speed, but you want your movement speed ideally at 20. And then when you surf, you should be at 55% cap speed if you're using surf. So BSJ on that, Power and Command. Again, side note on Power and Command, I know I say this a lot, but Power and Command has a 100% uptime on your Zephyrs. Your Zephyrs are, for this build, well, for anything really, every time you conjure a Zephyr, it is due to a use of a skill. So in this case, Breaker, right? When I break her, I release a Zephyr, right? So whenever I release a Zephyr, which is caused by a skill, that applies to the command aspect of Power and Command, which is going to increase their potential or their power for 24%. And then when it changes stance to the power stance, it's only going to increase it for the primary, but your Zephs only use primary. So for either or, and this is just for your Zephs only. Like, this is the biggest point to make for the 100% uptime comment. This only applies to your Zephyrs. It does not apply to you yourself, your character, individually. It applies individually to your Zephyrs. Independently is the word. Independently to your Zephyrs, not to your character. So you will still only receive the primary bonus for 9 seconds, and then your skills will receive it for 9 seconds. But your Zephyrs will get this 100% of the time due to the fact that they are caused or conjured by a skill and only use primary attack. The other gem is Spectre Glass, then Fervent Fang, and the last gem is Mother's Lament. So this combination, I've had a great success rate with it. It puts out so much damage, and they're most of them are craftable. Like, if you don't have Bottled Hope, you can add in a Pain Class. Pain Class got nerfed, but hey, if you don't, you got to work with what you got. So if you're a free-to-play player, like, I recommend these gems are Mother's Lament, Power and Command, Spectre Glass, Morn Skull. If you don't have Bottled Hope, you can sub it for Pain Clasp. There's so many gems that you can craft that they're so good. Now, for those that like to pay a little bit, I would recommend Bottled Hope and Roiling Consequence. If you don't have Roiling Consequence, Mother's Lament is enough. So yeah, that's pretty much the build. Again, the Slayer tree is probably the choice that I would go with. But you could do Harbinger. You're gonna hit so much harder with Harbinger. Let's do a little test here. So the Storm Fury is going to increase all of your power by about 40%. I fucked that up a little bit. But yeah, the idea here is, let's reset this so I can actually get a good a good clock in on the number. But yeah, if you know, and even if you don't like time it perfectly, like I just messed it up, but if you don't time it perfectly, it's still gonna hold a 2.2 or 2 mil sustained damage over 30 seconds. Like that's not gonna change. What's gonna change if you like miss the buttons or whatever? It's your burst damage is gonna get greatly affected, to be honest. But you should be bursting. I mean, a minimum of like 4, even if you like mess up the rotation. But if you do everything correctly, you should get a very high DPS. You know, my secondaries aren't the greatest, so this is just kind of a tweak on the last build that I posted, which again is more an assist and support build. This is more focused on like, you know, people that want to just get a little more kills. You still have the knockups, you know, with the geysers, so that's gonna, you know, still gonna kind of protect you a little bit, let you exit or enter a battle with a huge advantage. But yeah, so this is the build. Let's see if we can get a better reading here. So, you know, if you just kind of keep doing this, you should be hitting some good numbers, man. So that's basically the build. So yeah,